Hey all you super players out there. Today we have a deck centered around Son Goku, the Legendary Super Saiyan. This deck was created by Robert Flood, and those of you who watched our stream on Sunday would have seen him piloting it in our local tournament. If you want to check out that stream, we're streaming on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. and Sundays at 1:30 p.m. So I saw him playing this deck. I thought it was very interesting. It makes it very, very hard to play the game for the first 4 turns due to all the counter pressure you have. And then on turn 5, you drop your Son Goku Kaioken and just win the game. The deck has a very high skill ceiling, and I'm very excited to see what people do with this. So to start off with, the leader, Son Goku the Legendary Super Saiyan. On the Unawakened side, he has Burst 2. When this card attacks, you may choose one green card in your hand and place it in the drop area. If you do, draw 2 cards. Awaken at 4 or less, choose 2 of your energy, switch them to active mode. So this card is really, really strong for Kaioken because between the Burst 2 and the discard, you get to send 3 cards to your drop area every turn, which makes it very easy to get to your 20 red-green cards in the drop for Kaioken. The other very strong thing about this is the fact that you get to play a lot of 10Ks and counter cards that don't have combo power, and you can filter them out with the discard. So if you're drawing too many of your dual color cards or too many preemptive strikes, feat Kamehamehas, and other of the extra cards that we play, you can discard them with his effect to get more combo power to your hand. On the Awakened side, he reads Auto Sparking 5. When this card attacks, draw 1 card. If a Crillon card is in your drop area, this card gets 5k power and double strike for the duration of the turn. So we won't be playing any Overwhelm in this deck because he has a sparking effect. Not that we would anyway, since it's a Kaioken deck. So he gets to draw a card, and if you have Crillon in your drop, he gets 5k and double strike. This makes him a very powerful aggressive leader. You'll be able to finish off your opponents a lot with him, and it also means he gets to abuse Feat Kamehameha. He's one of the few leaders that can use it. And then you're swinging with a 35 double attack critical, double strike critical, I'm sorry. So starting off, we have 1 copy of Heroic Duo Videl. This is just a counter attack that negates the attack. We play 4 Raditz the Oppressor. The reason we play so many of these is because the only way our opponent gets to play cards is if they can untap their mana and play more than 1 battle card per turn. So this prevents them from using things like Senzu Beans and Trunks to untap and play more cards. 2 Bulma from the sidelines. This is something that we're trying out new. I actually asked Roberto about this, and he said that the ability to cycle through your deck to get what you need is very important. It also allows to fill your graveyard for your Kaioken effects. 2 Trunks Bridge to the Future. Pretty much all your important battle cards in this deck are Saiyans, so it makes it very easy to search them with this. Also, it helps fill your graveyard. 4 Shocking Deathball. This is the negative choice for this deck. You're going to have the Sparking 5 almost immediately due to your leader's effect, and it helps you clear out the little 1 and 2 drops that your opponent got to play before you can start countering them. 4 Crillon Calling for Help. So your leader needs a Crillon in the discard pile, and after going through most of them, we decided that this was the best one. When you play it, you get to draw a card, and then once you awaken, he becomes a 4-drop and gains blocker. So you can play him early, draw some cards, and then later in the game, he becomes a blocker. Also, he can just be a combo piece that enables your leader. It's not like you have to play this card at any point. You just need a Crillon in the discard pile so you can get your 5k and your double strike. 3 Broly Demonic Origins. This is just so you can charge dual color energy and not have it come into play tapped. 2 Feat Kamehameha. This card is active battle. If your leader card is a green Son Goku, for the duration of the battle, it gains 15k power and critical. So this works extremely well with this Goku. It allows your attacks to be on his flip side to become 35 double strike criticals. Also, it can be used defensively. It's a plus 15k combo, which is very powerful. 1 for the greater good. If your leader card is green, negate the attack. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 1 and KO it. If this card is in your drop area, you can activate by paying the energy cost, removing it, and 1 green card from the game. So this is really good because you mill so many cards. You're probably going to get it in the discard pile or to just use. It's just basically a utility card. 2 Super Saiyan Broly, Unforeseen Force. Auto, when you play this card from your hand, activate this skill. At the end of the turn, if there is a card that is both red and green in your energy, draw 2 cards, choose 1 card in your hand and place it in the drop area. Then choose any number of your opponent's battle cards with a total energy cost 3 or less and KO them. This again just helps you kind of clear out the smaller drops your opponent might have gotten through around your counters. It also draws cards and fills your discard pile. 3 Preemptive Strike. This card is just extremely powerful. It's one of the 3 counters you play to just not allow your opponent to play the game. The nice thing about playing Preemptive Strike over Vegeta the Cruel and Max Speed Kaioken is that you don't have to have a multicolor energy for it to cost 2, which is very, very helpful sometimes if you can't get to your multicolor energy right away. For our super combo, we're playing the Sparking 5 super combo because we're not interacting with our grave, and usually you can get this online by turn 1 or turn 2. 2 Max Speed Kaioken Son Goku. Counterplay this card. It becomes a 2 cost if you have a multicolor energy. When you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards. It gets minus 10k power for the duration of the turn. Then if it's your opponent's turn, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and it gets minus 5k power for the duration of the turn. So this is very, very strong, especially against Universe 6 decks because it allows you to KO their 1-drops. You can also stack the minus 1 and minus 5 to KO something that's 15 power. Just a very strong card in general. For Vegeta the Cruel, so this is the centerpiece counter card in our deck. Counterplay this card. Once again, if there's a multicolor energy, it goes down to a 2-drop. When you play this card during your opponent's turn, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost 4 or less, KO it, then your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and sends it to their warp. So not only does this KO anything your opponent tries to play, but they have to warp a card out of their hand. It's very strong. It's basically, if you don't mind their arrival effect coming in, you use Vegeta the Cruel. If you want to prevent their arrival effect, you use Preemptive Strike. 1 copy of Super Saiyan Vegeta Energy of the Gods. This becomes a 1-drop if your opponent has 3 or more cards on the field and has Sparking 3 when you play this card. Choose any number of your opponent's cards for total cost 2 or less and KO them. Just like the Broly, we're using this to clear our opponent's lower drops so that they can't put anything in play. 4 copies of Super Saiyan Gogeta Resonant Explosion. The reason we play 4 copies of this card is because we need the dual energy in order to play our Vegeta and our Max Speed Kaiokens for 2. It's also why we play 4 Kaiokens. Sure, we're probably not actually going to play that many of them in the game, but we need the dual color in order to turn our counters online. Also, if you draw too many of them, you can just discard them for the front side of your leader's effect, and you don't have to worry about too many 10Ks getting stuck in your hand. 1 copy of Final Showdown Son Goku. So the way this works is it has double strike. When a Crillon card with an energy cost of 4 or less in your battle area is KO'd by your opponent, if your leader card is green or black, play this card from your hand, and you can't play Final Showdown Son Goku for the duration of the turn. Auto, when this card comes into play from your hand, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and KO it. So basically how this card works is you play your Crillon calling for help, and then once you flip it becomes a 4-drop blocker. Then if they attack with something, you can block with it, and on their turn put in play your Final Showdown Son Goku, KOing any battle card ignoring barrier. You can also KO any battle card ignoring barrier by just playing Final Showdown Son Goku from your hand. So a lot of times your opponent won't see this coming, since your deck really isn't built around it. It's just something you have for a little surprise factor. It also gives you another double striker for an attacker if you don't have Kaioken on turn 5. And it's just a pretty solid card in general. The reason we don't play a whole bunch of these is, one, your Crillon can pretty much be removed by anything. It doesn't have any way to protect itself early. And it's a 10k combo, and we're already playing a lot of 10k combos. 4 copies of Kaioken Son Goku, Defender of the Earth. This is one of the best cards in the game right now, and it's your finisher. Basically, the way this deck wins is on turn 1, you want to charge multicolor energy. Turn 2, you charge another energy and get one of your counters online and prevent your opponent from playing for the next 3 turns. Then you drop Kaioken, and you'll have enough cards in your discard pile because your leader mills so much. And you just win the game from there. We also play the Red Gain Secret Rare, the Scramble Raditz Vegeta and Broly. This just allows you to do the extra 2 damage at the end if your opponent if you get your opponent down to 2. So yeah, like I said, This deck's pretty simple in description, although it's pretty hard to play. It's got a pretty high skill floor because you have to know when to counter and what energy to hold up. You basically, like I said, are going to want to play turn 1, multicolor energy, turn 2, leave energy open for a counterplay, turn 3, make sure you leave 2 energy open again for a counterplay, turn 4, you can play 2 counterplays if you want, and then turn 5, you slam down the Kaioken. It's very, very difficult to play around because you have a lot of ways to interact with your opponent. The 3 cards between Mach Speed, Kaioken, Preemptive Strike, and Vegeta can pretty much out anything that isn't a 5 or higher drop. And on 5 drop, you're going to want to play your Kaioken. This deck can struggle a little bit against other Kaioken decks going second because you don't have really a good way to prevent their Kaioken from going off. But the thing is, if you're countering their card every time they play, it's going to be pretty hard for them to get 20 red-green cards in the discard pile for his effect. So that's kind of how you're going to counter it. But yeah, the deck is very surprisingly strong for not having a whole lot to do. It's a little linear, but your opponent isn't going to have a whole lot of things they're going to be able to do about it. Also, get to play Feat Kamehameha. Everybody wants to play Feat Kamehameha, and you can't play it in any deck, so that's pretty cool. All right, everybody. So if you are interested in watching our streams, I will put a link in the description for our Twitch channel. Go out there, play some Super, and have some fun.